Philosophy in Sanskrit is called darshan, and darshan literally means vision or insight. That means the objective of the darshan is to get insight of life or get self-realized. Tattvasar means essence. So the essence of darshan in Vedantic system, we call it Satchidananda. Sat, Chit, Anand. Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness, and Anand is bliss. So it means to exist with blissful knowledge of consciousness. I will start my presentation with Shanti Mantra of Ishopanishad. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnartha Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This means that is Purna, means full or infinite. This is also Purna. From Purna, Purna is created. If we take out Purna from Purna, only Purna remains. This is the basic essence of Vedanta. Ultimate reality is Brahman. Brahman is infinite. Mathematically, Purna it is infinite, and Hindu philosophy, if we say that it is positive infinite towards positive, the negative infinite we can depict it as zero. In Buddhist philosophy, their fundamental basis is from Shunya, means they believe that everything is created from Shunya or zero. So practically both are same, either from zero or from infinity. I will talk about now my outline of presentation. This is Indian schools of darshan, Nastika or heterodox system, Shat darshan of the 6 philosophies, Astika, that is the 6 darshans are based on Astika. They are Vaisheshika, Nyaya, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa and Vedanta. And finally, I will touch base on science and Vedanta, quantum physics. Indian philosophy has 2 aspects. First is practical and another is Tarkic. Practical is based on it believes in direct observations and means what people believe or the different rishis they believe or different intelligent people believe. It's based on the practical aspects. Tarkic is based on the tarka. Tarka means argument with logic, analysis and testimony. Tarkic is again, it has 2 aspects, Nastika and Astika. Astika is based on the world's oldest text of humanity, that is Vedas. And Nastika disowns the knowledge system from Veda. Astika system is again, it has 2 aspects, Nirguna and Swaguna. Nirguna is without attributes, all encompassing formless Brahman. Saguna is with attributes, that is personification of Brahman in human. Personification of Brahman means we personify Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. And so in the philosophy, when you include them, the personification of it calls Saguna Brahman. From Saguna Brahman, it has again 2 aspects, that is Videha Mukta and Jivan Mukta. Videhi Mukta is salvation after death. Plato, his duality principle is based on this salvation after death. He believes that there are two worlds. The materialistic world is illusion, and if you want to go to the higher level of world, it can be only achieved after salvation is only after death, whereas Jivan Mukta is salvation within the lifespan of this year. Mainly all Hindu philosophies are based on this salvation within this life, and that it can be achieved through meditation and yoga. Indian schools or darshans, as I said, it has Gnostic and Astic system. Here, let me tell very clearly, this Gnostic and Astic system has got nothing to do with the believing God or non-believing of God. Gnostic system is, I already said that this disowns the knowledge from Veda. And Astic system, it is based on Veda. Gnostic systems are Buddhism, Jainism, Charvaka, Ajivikas, and some other. Astika systems are 6 darshans. In Sanskrit, they call it Shat Darshan: Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Mimamsa, and Vedanta. Vedanta is again developed in Dvaita or duality, and then Dvaita, Advaita, or Visishta Advaita, that is qualified non-duality, and finally Advaita, that is non-duality. We also talk about Neo Vedanta, which is most recently, it is founded by Sri Ramakrishna and his disciple Swami Vivekananda. It includes Vedanta philosophy along with Bhakti part of it from yoga. Nastika system of philosophy, as I said, it is from, it does not believe the knowledge from Vedas. Charvaka, Buddhism, Jainism, and Ajivikas. Ajivika system, Rishi Makkali Gosala is the founder of this philosophy. He believes liberation from cycle of birth and death through act of austerity or sincere labor. It is called Sramana in Sanskrit. And this Sramana philosophy is also there in Buddhism and Jainism. Charvaka system is the founder of this is Charvaka, and this is based on the experience perceived, and this is based on common people's belief. So it is called Lokayat system. It does not accept afterlife. Buddhism is a materialistic atheist philosophy. Buddhist philosophy, they have Mahayana and Hinayana, many things. It's, see, Buddha's basic philosophy started from suffering. He has seen in his life everywhere suffering is there. In order to get rid of suffering, he left home and went for nirvana. So the basic principle of Buddha started from, he believed in nothing is unchanging. So no unchanging fact. He has 3 signs or 3 lakkhana. That's anitya, impermanence. Anatta, anatta is in Sanskrit, it is called anatma, or no unchanging self, and dukkha, and suffering. The law of dependent origination, or the bhavachakra. Bhavachakra is the cycle of birth and death. So it's through the karma of birth and death you will break the link and go to nirvana. Jain philosophy centrally that it believes on the right faith, right knowledge, right conduct, and through this it will achieve moksha. Jain philosophy, it has separate entity like jiva and ajiva, soul and matter. Now I have touched base on the heterodox system. Now my main subject is Hindu philosophy is Shat Darshan. Shat Darshans, this is placed in this pyramid based on qualitative aspect of thoughts from practical perception to the meditative state. The first, if we say the Vaiseshika, Nyaya, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa and Vedanta. Vaiseshika and Nyaya, they are based on pluralism, that is the common man belief, pluralism, many Atman, many matters. And further development was Sankhya, Yoga and Mimamsa. They believed in dualism. From pluralism, the development happened to dualism. They believed two complete entities, separate entity, Purusha and Prakriti, that is dualism. Sankhya is basically called, it is the supposed to be the oldest, more than 2000 BC. The third is Vedanta. Vedanta believes individual selves are either real or illusory. And the final stage, like Vedanta is Dvaita Vedanta, duality, dual Vedanta, Visishta Advaita, or it is qualified non-duality, and finally is non-dual system, that is Advaita. Brahman is sole reality. We know there are 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Sam Veda, Yajur Veda and Atharva Veda. Each of them are divided, or they have the parts Samhita, Brahman, Aranyak and Upanishad. Samhitas are the mantra parts. Mainly the mantra parts are all in Samhita. Brahmans are ritualistic. All rituals, including like social and the spiritual, everything, all ritualistic principle is there in Brahman. And in Brahman itself, we have Vedanga, means it is an Anga of Ved, or Vedanga is there. I will talk about this thing a little later. Aranyak and Upanishad, you are further going towards Upanishad is completely philosophical base and deep spiritual. And as because Upanishad is placed at the last of Vedas, it is Vedanta, it is placed at the end of the Veda, that is Upanishad. Cosmology, this is scientific base. I will touch base on cosmology of scientific base. Einstein's Big Bang model, that is estimated, the Planck's time, that is estimated to be 13.8 billion years ago, is based on basic 2 assumptions: general theory of relativity that describes gravitational interaction of all matters, cosmological principle, this is most important. Cosmological principle which states that an observer's view of the universe depends neither on the direction in which he looks nor on his location. So it is all pervasive. At one time, it is everywhere. The universe expanded from a highly compressed primordial state. This primordial state is equated with Prakriti in philosophy, resulting in significant decrease in density and temperature, and thereby the dominance of matter, means matter has started creating that atoms from antimatter, and this antimatter is again equated with the philosophy, Hindu philosophy, Tanmatras. Tanmatras are subtle elementary matter. There are 5 Tanmatras: Shabda, Sparsh, Roop, Rash and Gandha. Their respective gross elements are bhutas. We call it Panchabhutas, 5 gross elements: Akash, ether; Vayu, air; Agni, fire; Apa means water; and Prithvi, earth. This, from Tanmatras, atoms of gross element or Panchabhutas are created. Tanmatras have physical characteristics such as penetrability, power of impact, radiant heat, and viscous attraction. This affects the senses after assuming form of Paramanu or atom. Upanishad says only Akash was there at the time of beginning, although Upanishad clearly says that there is no beginning or no end. Big Bang is continuously happening. Big Bang of our cosmos or our is, it may have happened in 13.8 billion, but it is continuously happening. But at the time of the beginning of any creation, from unmanifested primordial state to the manifested state of Jiva and Jagat, means sentient and non-sentient, with the first Tanmatra, that is Shabd, sound, and it is called Nad. Rigveda says Nad is Brahma, Om. Sankhya cosmology, I will now talk about cosmology as per philosophy, Hindu philosophy. I've taken this pictorial view of Sankhya cosmology. Here there are 2 ultimate independent realities, that is Purusha and Prakriti. But in other 6, means other than Sankhya, they also talk about Purusha and Prakriti. That maybe they are not completely independent realities. Purusha is there with Prakriti, but this pictorial view is there, this formation is there in every philosophy, all Hindu philosophies. So how it's created? We talk about Tanmatras. Tanmatras are Shabda, Sparsh, Rupa, Rash, Gandha. They're subtle elements. Even the material existence, means atoms, are not been created. With the reflection from Purusha to Prakriti, why we call reflection? It is a union with Purusha and Prakriti, but here in Sankhya it is called reflection because Purusha is conscious. It does not get affected any manifestation that is happening in Prakriti. So initially Prakriti is in equilibrium or unmanifested primordial matter. With the reflection of Prakriti, Prakriti starts manifested with Tanmatras. The very first manifestation happens Mahat or Buddhi, and then with Buddhi, the second level is ego or self-identity. This is the first level of identifying self. Prakriti has 3 gunas: sattva, raja and tamas. Raja has the quality of action or passion, means through raja and tamas will create the material as panchabhutas through tanmatras. So it is an inertial part, it is a heavier part or atomic part. And through Prakriti, Rajas and Sattva, all cognitive functions are created. Manas or mind is created. Through Manas, the next is Gyanendriyas, all 5 Gyanendriyas and 5 Karmendriyas. So this is the cosmology of Hindu philosophy. Astika, I have already said, Astika does not believe, Astika is orthodox system, it is Hindu philosophies. They are based in Vedas. 6, Vaisheshika, Nyaya, Sankhya, Yoga and Mimamsa Vedanta. Vaisheshika is the most practical way of defining it. Vaisheshika system created by Rishi Kanad Kashyapa through his treatise Vaisheshika Sutra. It's a totally materialistic system. It's a school of physics and metaphysics. Creation of universe in this system is from atoms, Anu. So it does not take God in direct picture. It has indirect God here. The minutest individual eternal entities of earth, water, fire, air, ether, space, time, mind, everything, and Supreme Self. Supreme Self is indirect. It is coexisting with the material world. It is a pluralistic realism. Ishwar or God is a guiding principle here, Nimitta Karana. Nimitta Karana, responsible reason. The system is called Asat Karyavad. I already talked about Sat. Asat is non-existent. Sat is existent, Asat is non-existent. We know everything, the creation of everything is based on cause and effect. So when we consider that in effect, in the starting from the cause, that the effect is not there in the cause, it is started something new. So that is called Asat Karyavad. So in this case, the Supreme Self, in the Supreme Self, Jiva's effect was not there initial in the Supreme Self. Nyaya, as its name suggests, that it's totally based on Gyan. It says Gyan is Brahma. Aitareya Upanishad says Pragyanam Brahma. Nyaya philosophy founded by Rishi Gautam or Akshapada through his treatise Nyaya Sutra. Ultimate goal is again the same thing, liberation from bondage, but liberation bondage of ignorance. They said that Gyan, so ignorance can be achieved through right knowledge. Ishwar is considered the creator, preserver and destroyer. The self is considered to be the eternal and many. Nyaya, as its name suggests, as said already, is a logical. This is a pictorial depiction of Nyaya. Knowledge is there, and through perception, comparison, inference, and word reliable, with churning of all these things, we get to actual knowledge, and through that, we can reach Brahma. Sankhya philosophy, the basics have already been talked in this cosmology. It has two dualistic, it is a total dualistic system. It has Purusha and Prakriti, two ultimate independent realities or existence. Purusha is completely separate from Prakriti, and Purusha does not get affected in any way of the manifestations. It says Sankhya depicts cosmos, a journey from consciousness to matter and back. Prakriti is a sole unconscious cause of Jiva and Jagat. Satya, it is a Sat Karyavad, as I already said. It has three gunas, Rajas, Tamas and Satya. And it is a Sat Karyavad. Sat Karyavad system, why? Because it believes that the effect is already there. It is not a new beginning. It is already there in cause, in Supreme Self. It's just like an example, like earthen pot is created from earth. So basically earth is there in the cause. It is Satkaryavat. The knowledge principle or epistemology of the philosophy is through perception, inference, and verbal testimony. Yoga. Rishi Patanjali founded this yoga system through his Sutra, Yoga Sutra. Yoga is the first philosophy which is, I can call it Swaguna Brahman. They have believed Swaguna Brahman is Brahman, or they said Purusha, a supreme soul. It is with which was not, is not, and will never be affected by affliction, but it is a part. Because of this only everything is happening. This philosophy is based on Bhagavad Gita. To remove ignorance and control Chitta, yoga prescribes eightfold, that is Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga has means many things: yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, prarthana, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Mimamsa. Mimamsa philosophy is from Karma Kanda of Veda. Karma Kanda Veda is the first part, and the Gyan Kanda is the next part. So it is called Purva Mimamsa. And Vedanta, because it is put at the end of the Veda, so it consists Gyan or Mimamsa. It is called Uttar Mimamsa. Mimamsa founded by Jaimini through his treatise Mimamsa Sutra. School of orthopraxy, which believes right action is as important as religious faith. Mimamsa is ritualistic because it is based on Brahman. Mimamsa accepts law of karma is the main cause of determining the coming together of eternal atoms to form bodies for the selves. It does not need Purusha's reflection, although it believes Purusha is required, but Purusha's reflection is not. It believes it's a part of, like Swaguna Brahman. The epistemology Mimamsa is from Kalpa, a part of the codified rituals of Vedanga. Vedanga is a part of Veda, the part of Brahman. Kalpa has details in its 4 texts: Shrauta Sutra, Griha Sutra, Dharma Sutra, and Sulba Sutra. Shrauta Sutra is based on, like, what do you call, meditation, yagna, the how you do yagna and all these things. Griha Sutra is spiritual aspect, and it's based on the Griha, means how to run, all means Griha and social aspect. Dharma Sutra is about dharma, good or bad and everything. And Sulba Sutra basically is civil engineering. It talks in detail about the measurement of land and everything. Vedanta. Rishi Vyasa or Badarayana was the founder of Vedanta system. He wrote Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra, which is mainly Upanishad. Najayate mriyate va kadachi nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nityah shashvatvang purana na hanyate hanyamane sarire. This is a part of Gita, Sloka 20, chapter 2, which says, neither born nor ever die, nor having once existed or will ever cease to be. It is birthless, eternal, immortal, and ageless. It is not destroyed when the body is destroyed. Supreme consciousness of Brahman is both creation and creator, the highest and the absolute reality that does not have any beginning or end. The creation, the Vedanta is self-existence of consciousness or chitta. It is Sat Karyavad that I have already explained, that the reality is already there, the effect, the reality and effect is already there in cause. There's a little difference with Sankhya. Sankhya is also Sat Karyavad. The difference of Vedanta and Sankhya is this: Sankhya says that transformation, like from Purusha to Prakriti's transformation, is real transformation. Whereas Vedanta, we know Vedanta believes in only one, it's the world is illusory. Vedanta system was continuously developed further from the ancient to the medieval, further to modern era, in the realms of Dvaita, Visishta Advaita and Advaita. Dvaita is dual, Visishta Advaita is qualified non-dual, and Advaita is non-dual system. Dvaita Vedanta, Madhavacharya around 13th century propounded this Dvaita Vedanta philosophy. Madhavacharya, he initiated Sri Krishna Mat or Sri Krishna Mandir in Udupi. Madhavacharya was real proponent for Dvaita here, and he has criticized Shankaracharya in many ways. But his duality is different than Sankhya duality. He said real is Ishwar, Supreme Self, is totally independent, and Prakriti and Purusha both are one material, they're dependent on independent, on Supreme Self. So it is, although duality, but it is, as per Vedanta, is one. It is totally the actual reality is Supreme Self. Madhava's doctrine mainly based on the concept of Bheda, means he generated Panchaveda, differentiation between Supreme Self and Prakriti, Supreme Self and Purusha, Purusha and Prakriti, like this 5 differences. Visishta Advaita Vedanta, qualified non-duality. Ramanuja of Sri Sampradaya, in 11th century, he propounded this thing, and basically that is the first starting of Bhakti Vedanta or Vaishnava system. Ramanuja's ashram is there in near Hyderabad, and very recently in February 22, our Prime Minister Modi, he has inaugurated the 261 feet sitting posture Ramanuja statue in his ashram. Ramanuja believes Ishvara, Supreme Self as a whole, is qualified reality with various positive attributes, that means Saguna Brahman, constituted of Chitta consciousness or soul and Achitta materialistic Jiva and Jagat. This is all in one, but two. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in 15th century started Gauriya Vaishnavism. His Vaishnavism is kind of Bheda Abheda. What is Achinta Bheda Abheda, which means inconceivable oneness and difference, relations of individual soul with Krishna and vice versa. He expounded Bhakti Yoga and popularized the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. ISKCON is created by him. Advaita Vedanta, now it is dual, non-dual system. Saint Gaudapada, through his Mandukya Karika in 7th century, proclaimed that truth of all existence, creations, and entire cosmos is non-dual. Ignorance is the main cause of illusion or duality. Advaita says, Chandogya Upanishad said, Tvam Asi, thou art that, means you are that. There is only one reality, that is you. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also says in the same way, Aham Brahmasmi, I myself is Brahma. Shankaracharya in 8th century further profoundly developed and established Advaita Vedanta. Its basis is through Brahma Sutra, Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita. Shankaracharya's metaphysics believes that everything is illusions or Maya. The real is ultimate Brahman, whose negation is absolutely impossible. In Advaita Vedanta, it says neti neti. When we said this is consciousness, no, this is not neti neti. Then again we further go, is it consciousness? No, it's further. So it's one should feel the consciousness. Shankaracharya resolves the coexistence of subjective and objective reality by putting them in two-level realities. This is just to explain to common people. He put it in two-level realities. One is objective along with observed level reality, means observer and objects. And the second, further development, you transcend from this to absolute reality or Brahman. Jiva Atman or Brahman identified itself with mind and body with an organic relationship and considered different as part of the whole. The objective realities are illusions. Shankaracharya's Drigdishya Viveki is one of the very clear text to indicate or clearly depicts about his two-level. For common people, it says, Drigdishya Viveka says, the Drig means seer, Drishya is sin, Drishya is object seen, Drig is seer, and through the Drigdishya we can go further to get the wisdom or Viveka. Let me give you an example. Like in front of me, suppose there is a red rose. I'm aware about the beautiful rose. So my eyes are here, seer, and the object is the rose. So here from Drigdishya Viveka concept, eyes are seer and object is red rose. And through this, I get an awareness, I get the feeling of goodness of the object. So my consciousness at the level of eyes it is my awareness plus the object. Let me go further, close my eyes, and I try to see my eyes through my mind or man. So if I see my eyes, the object of the red rose is already sublime, it's already gone. So my eyes are now seen, object, and my mind is observer or seer. And this reflects, I am pretty aware of this, I can see very well that my eyes are now seen. So this awareness further I got one step further, and now I try to see my man or manas or mind through I means self, I am, through the ego or aham. From ego I can see my mind. So here my mind is seer, and my mind is seen, and I is seer. So I went one step further towards consciousness, and after that I cannot go, because as a self entity I cannot go beyond that. But to go beyond that, I need to go through meditations, yoga practices. New Vedanta is created by Sri Ramakrishna and his disciple Swami Vivekananda. It gives the path to salvations. They have Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Raj Yoga. This Vedanta system, New Vedanta system, has included the Bhakti part also in Vedanta. I will talk about science, quantum physics, and Vedanta. Advaita concept of Drigdishya Viveka means seen and seer, object and subject. It says object illusoriness, subjective to observer, has been first observed as a paradox in science on the advent of quantum physics. On the advent of quantum physics, we have seen that the classical physics, which is based on Newtonian system or Newton's theories, in many ways does not get answered. It has a lot of paradoxes. The first paradox is we have seen the double slit system, passing photons through double slit and putting a photographic cell behind the two slits. We see the observer, the moment we observe, once we see it is behaving like particle physics, and you look other side and again see it, you will see it is a band, like it acts like a wave function. So particle physics and wave function, there was tremendous illusions and a lot of it here. Even Schrodinger's, the cat system, he said that he saw a cat dead, and some other day he saw the cat alive. So this quantum mechanics at the subatomic level created the cosmological ideas. It changed the cosmology completely based on seen and seer, objectivity and subjectivity. At the University of Vienna, it's very recent. I just got this paper in 2021. Professor Kastloff Bruckner has very recently exhibited that under certain assumptions, measurements in quantum mechanics are subjective to observer. See, this illusoriness and superimpositions means simultaneous appearance in many places. It has been established by Paramahansa Yoganand in his book Autobiography of a Yogi. He confirmed in the chapter, we can see that in his chapter, The Law of Miracles. He has very clearly said there are some yogis who has two bodies and simultaneous. I will conclude my subjects with Niels Bohr's statement. He was the founding father of the quantum mechanics and who was avid reader of Vedas. He observed that their experiment in quantum physics were consistent what he read in Vedas. Quotation, I just put his statement, quote, "Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. Nothing exists until it is measured. When you measure something, when you measure something, we are forcing an undetermined, undefined world to assume an experimental value. We are not measuring the world, we are creating it. In later stage, Erwin Schrödinger also said, the unity and continuity of Vedanta are reflected in the unity and continuity of wave mechanics. This is entirely consistent with the Vedanta concept all in one. Multiplicity is only apparent. Being a student of science, I have been amazed to see that there is such fantastic correlation with philosophy, Hindu philosophies and science. I hope I could make it somewhat legible, and thank you.
My first question is, you mentioned when you started talking about Jaina Darshana that they have certain part of the path is looking at the right knowledge, the right conduct. And these sounded somewhat similar to my very minuscule understanding of the Buddha's teachings of the Eightfold Path. Is there any resemblance there between those two and also with the 8 limbs of yoga?
You know, Buddha and Jaina, many ways Jain system and Buddha systems are similar. As I said, in Ajivika, Sramana is the basic principle, and Sramana has been taken in Buddha as well as Jain system. So what your question completely answers the same thing. Sramana means right knowledge, right path, right, yeah, everything is there. And Jainism is completely based on this Sramana system.
Yes, thank you. No, that answers. And
Yeah.
does that Shramana system, I know you mentioned it's related to the Jaina Darshana and Bauddha Darshana,
Yeah.
but the right conduct and all, do they also have any parallel in the 8 limbs of yoga in the Sanatana Dharma?
It is. I think if I go back to my slide, it is in the yoga system is Ashtanga yoga has very clearly talked about. It is 8 system. It has Sramana. It has right knowledge. See, Nyaya is totally based on the right knowledge. So yoga system takes care of Ashtanga yoga to remove ignorance and control of chitta, means consciousness. Sramana system is the base of eightfold path of discipline, Ashtanga yoga, yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, prarthana, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Dharana is one of the main part of Jain system. Yama and Niyama are also among the 5 system of here. So it is there.
My question is, I'm just curious. Well, all these 6 system of Indian philosophy, somewhere I assume this, that the Veda is the core. Veda is the core of all these 6 philosophy. So
Yes.
what is your take on this?
Yeah,
I mean, is it so? Oh, I am wrong.
No, it is absolutely correct. Veda is, see, even if I say that even Nastika system also is, the core thing is Upanishad, and the essence is from Upanishad, and Upanishad is from Veda. So undoubtedly these are called Astic system because they believe in Veda only. Entire knowledge system is from Veda.
Then I just want to understand, then why Jainism or Buddhism, somewhere they consider themselves different. I mean, they see a huge difference between what Hindus are following and what they are following. So there is some conflict or what, I mean, and why?
So,
Why that spark why
Yeah.
that stark difference is there?
See, if I see including the Western philosophy also,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about only Indian means Jainism and Buddhism. Buddhism, it's just looking from which side. Buddhists look from the part of sorrow or suffering. And here in Hindu philosophy, it's that reaching nirvana is the extreme, it is ecstasy, it is only joy. Even staying in this world, every moment is joy. So, but as I have given the example of infinity and zero. You look from the zero or from infinity. Is it a negative infinity or positive infinity? There is no change at all. They consider it, in every system, there is some kind of argument, some kind of conflicts, but practically, if you look into the detail, especially if I talk about the Mahayana system, that is, this system is based on Dalai Lama principle, and Dalai Lama now, you will find everything related to Upanishad. There are every places it says that the final thing is consciousness. It has, from Buddha in 2000 years, it has developed a lot. So basically, there is no change. Only depicting something this way or that way is different.
May I add a comment to Nityananda ji's question?
Sure.
I'm not as learned as you, Sopanji, so far. Forgive me in advance. From my little study of the Buddha's teachings, both across Theravada and Mahayana, which is Theravada is Hinayana. They have both, I've listened to monks, nuns, I've done their readings from their websites and their books. And from that, my understanding is the Buddha's whole concept of suffering was based on the fact that it starts from ignorance of the reality. We don't see reality the way it is because we are completely clouded by our five senses and the other aspects. And therefore that results in attachment aversion. And that sets you into that cycle of suffering, which connects with the 12 dependent origination. The law of dependent origination describes those links actually. So he's talking about suffering as the same thing from my understanding as Sanatana Dharma, where they are saying attachment and aversion is what causes you suffering when you cling onto it. I don't believe he was saying while you're alive, you can achieve joy and peace. But as long as you understand reality the way it is and you tune into that through the practices and the knowledge and the path that he described. So he's talking about material existence and being attached to it in our perception and in our mind is what causes suffering, which is exactly the same as quote unquote Hinduism.
Right, exactly.
Can I ask you my question now? I had one question.
Sure. Go ahead.
It was regarding the law of dependent origination, the 12 links of dependent origination. They call it Pratitya Samutpada. Are they just using a Sanskrit term, or does it have some kind of a parallel in the Sanatana Dharma texts and studies as well?
This 12 thing, it is a part of this Bhava Chakra. The Bhava Chakra has all these things, and to get rid of Bhava Chakra, Buddha has said that how to get out of Bhava Chakra and get Nirvana. So it is really not possible to discuss all these things. And equating on the top 12 things you said, yes, it is partially there in yoga system. Partially, as I said, the Ashtanga Yoga is partially connecting to the Buddhism. So not in toto, I cannot say it exactly in one, but philosophically, yoga system also have the similar thing, but not exactly the same.
This is, I don't know, people might think I'm being a bit pedantic, focusing on the semantics, but for me, it is more about when you have a word, it describes a concept, it helps us visualize things. So from that perspective, my question is coming about we using the term philosophy as
Yeah.
opposed to darshana, because darshana means you refine your ability to perceive. Even
Yeah.
we understand perception very differently in our, in an Indian way.
Yeah.
So you go beyond the five senses, you refine them, and you go to a point where you can perceive with more clarity, with your senses and your mind not coming in your way. That
Yeah.
concept doesn't exist in the Western word philosophy or the path of philosophy. So I wondered what are your thoughts on that? Am I being
Yeah.
too pedantic?
Yeah.
I don't think I am, but I'm thinking as me.
No, 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 no. This is correct. This is correct. See, they have also visualized the thing, but in Western philosophy, as I know, it is unlimited subject. But as I know, Western philosophy is limited up to mind, means up to the logic system, up to the objective or materialistic world, what we see. It has not gone transcend beyond that. So everywhere, including like I'm not talking about the old one, only the Plato or Socrates, not that. We are later on, so like Hegel, we started thinking about consciousness, but again he has gone up to the limit of as much we can perceive in our mind, not beyond that. It is there, it is exactly, you are correct.
Like he said, I think Abrahamic religions just go up to only mind, and all the Hindu philosophies, by following a set pattern which is already prescribed, one can, if one wants to, achieve the highest consciousness, which is not there in Western philosophy. At least I'm not aware of it. So I just wanted to add that. Thanks.
Yes, it is exactly.
This is in relation to Aditi ji's question
Yeah.
on the Mahayana and the Hinayana versions.
Okay.
The Mahayana is mostly written in Sanskrit.
Yes.
So they use the common terms from our scriptures. Hinayana is not mostly written in Sanskrit, it's in Pali.
It is in Pali.
And
Yes.
Mahayana's both Madhyatmika and Chittamatra
Yeah.
are mostly in Sanskrit. And Hinayana's Vaisheshika and Vaibhashika are both in Pali, mostly.
Okay.
A little
Yes.
bit of Sanskrit.
Yes.
Now, the problem here is what Buddhism refers to as consciousness is not the same consciousness referred to in Advaita, Vishishtadvaita, and Dvaita.
Okay.
In the Vedanta, it is the knower, not the known. In Buddhism, it is the mind consciousness, which passes from jiva to jiva in births,
It is.
every birth.
It is.
So the Sanskrit term is used in a different sense. It'll require a lot of explaining, actually.
Yeah.
So there is no commonality in the meaning, though the term is the same because Sanskrit is used.
Yeah.
Nagarjuna is the biggest prolific writer
Yes.
of Mahayana. He
Yes.
uses complete Sanskrit. And in that,
Yes.
the consciousness referred to in Vajrayana, that is the Tibetan version, is the consciousness of the mind. Whereas the consciousness referred to in Advaita, Vishishtadvaita, and Dvaita, Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhavacharya, is the knower. The knower is the consciousness. So there is a difference. The Sanskrit is the common language, but the terms are not what they're meant in each separately. They're different. This is my take on it. I mean, I may be wrong.
Yeah.
This is my take on it.
In principally, you are absolutely correct. See, Mahayana Buddhism fundamentally started from India and this close to India only, means Tibet. So And this Mahayana Buddhism, that's why it is mainly from Sanskrit, yeah. And Mahayana Buddhism, there are, in most of the cases, you will find the reference of Brahma in Mahayana Buddhism. So initially I got an understanding that Buddha did not have any personifications, any God in person kind of thing. But in Mahayana, everywhere Brahma is there. So as you said, there are, although the same term used in Indian philosophy means Hindu philosophy and here, but their meanings are little different. I will not be able to immediately talk about one-to-one, because if I have it in front of me, so then I will be, but it is true that the meaning in many cases are different.
Swapanji, if I may add,
Yeah,
the moment you say that it is the same,
yeah,
they will vehemently deny Buddhists, especially Mahayana, Madhyatmika, that is Nagarjunas. They'll vehemently deny that there is such a thing as Brahman. There is no Brahman.
yeah.
Whereas Advaita, Vishishtadvaita, and Dvaita is premised on the Brahman. Various versions, the manifest, unmanifest, Saguna and Nirguna and Sakara and Nirakara and all. So they will deny that there is such a foundational concept as Brahman. There is only consciousness which goes from life to life to life. There is no Brahman pervading the background. Whereas all the dharmic, the Sanatana, that is Advaita, Vishishtadvaita, talk of the Brahman as the foundational concept from which springs the manifest and the Saguna, Nirguna, Sakara and Nirankara and all. So they have no concept of this. The moment you say, oh, it is the same, they say, no, not at all. It is not connected with Brahman. There is no, though as you rightly said, they use the word Brahman, but not the same as the concept of Brahman in Advaita, Vishishtadvaita and Dvaita.
It is. Let me tell this thing as I understand. Let me say, see, Nagarjuna and like the main Buddha started about 500 BC. It's around 2000, and then slowly Nagarjuna came. You see, I have very recently studied the Tibetan Buddhism from the perspective of Dalai Lama.
Vajrayana.
And Vajrayana. And Western philosopher in Harvard. So it is, if you listen to Sarvapriyananda, he talked about this thing. He talked about very little. What the difference you are talking about, the Vajra, Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna is very old, and at that time it has developed. Buddhism has developed manifold. So I'm not. It's a matter of lot of discussion. I'm not talking about that you are wrong or I'm right. Nothing like that. Like, it's a lot of discussion. I have gone through little bit of Nagarjuna part also. And Nagarjuna has not accepted. That is the basic reason. See, in same time, the Buddha's time, Vaisheshika has started, and it is a materialistic thing. So how will it match with the Advaita Vedanta, which is developed much later? And Advaita Vedanta, although the philosophy, basic philosophy was there in Upanishad, but like Badarayana or Vyasa, he has said this thing about long time back. But yes, there is difference, because it has started from the practical point of view. They have the Vaisheshika, Nyaya, everything was a practical point of view. So, and Buddhism also at that time was a practical point of view. I very recently got some article. I don't know whether I have saved or it is, if you've listened to Sarvapriyananda, you will find that in very recently there is some American, he's a Buddhist. He has talked about this similarity slowly how it is vanishing. I'm not saying that you are wrong. It was there, and that is the basic reason it says it is Gnostic system. It does not believe Veda.